Shalom. We'll be getting started shortly. We'll be getting started shortly. Welcome. Shalom, Brother Samuel. We'll be getting started very shortly. We'll be getting started shortly, excuse me. Shalom, we'll be getting started shortly. Okay, let's see. Let's see here. Okay. All right, shalom, Brother Shaul Bridges. And shalom to all of you. Sister Keturah, Abraham, shalom. Okay, we're getting ready to get started now. Okay. All praises to the Most High Yah and our elder brother Yeshua and the Ruach HaKodesh, the Royal Elohim family. Okay. The Spirit put this lesson on my heart and mind this morning to bring this out. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, this is not the Christianized view of, it is the scripture view. It's Yah's view, okay? I need to tell you that right out, okay? The Ruach wants this lesson taught because there are a lot of people walking around that believe in Christ or say they believe in Christ, and they have certain views concerning marriage, what marriage is, what divorce is, or what constitutes divorce, remarriage. They have a lot of erroneous views. But I would have to say, and I believe the remnant of Israel in here listening to this message would have to say, what people think makes no difference at all to the Most High. Okay. Matter of fact, Yeshua said that when we have to all stand before the judgment seat of Yeshua on that day, we will be judged according to the words that he spoke. Okay? According to the words that he spoke. That is how we are going to be judged. We are not going to be judged by what Bishop said, what your mother or father said or believe. We are not going to be judged according to what they think, okay? Or what anyone else thinks for that matter. It's not what I think. It's not what anybody thinks. It's not what your church thinks. It's not what your camp thinks. It's not what your mosque thinks, okay? It's not about none of that. It's not what you think is right. The word said, there's a way that seemeth right unto men and women, but its end is death. Okay, so with that introduction, I'm going to get started. Title of this lesson is A Hard Heart Will Cause You to Divorce Unlawfully. Okay, and in this lesson, I am going to be discussing marriage, what constitutes marriage, what constitutes divorce, what can be considered grounds for divorce, or what the scripture says is grounds for divorce. And so that will be the purpose of this lesson, okay? Now, I know a lot of people probably at work or whatever, but this lesson, of course, as with all the rest, will be on Facebook, published on Facebook, okay? Now, I'm just going to start reading from Matthew, all right? The title of this chapter is called Marriage and Divorce. But as with many scriptures, many things that were spoken, many truths that were spoken of by Yeshua, what happens is that if you have been indoctrinated into Christianity or Islam or campology, what happens is when you read the scriptures, you read it in light of the false information that you have already been programmed to have received. Okay, so but there is only one way to comprehend what the Hebrew prophet said, what Yeshua taught, or I should say what the Hebrew prophets were given by Yah's Spirit to write, what Yeshua spoke, what the holy apostles preached and taught. Okay, there's only one way, and by the way, they all harmonize. Okay, all of it harmonizes. All right, now, okay, all of it harmonizes. So with that, I'm going to read, as I said, I'm going to read Matthew and start this off reading Matthew 19. And it came to pass when Yeshua had finished these sayings, he departed into Galilee and came into the coast of Judea beyond Jordan. And great multitudes followed him, and he healed them there. The Pharisees also came unto him, tempting him, and saying unto him, is it lawful for a man to put away his wife for every cause? Okay, notice what he said, what they were asking him, for every cause. Now there's a reason that they're asking him in that manner. There's a reason that they said for every cause. Okay, and Yeshua answered and said unto them, have you not read that he which made them at the beginning made them male and female? That's in Genesis 1:27 and also Genesis 5:2. That in the beginning, right, he made them male and female. He did not join them male and male, or female and female, or male and animal and female and animal, okay, or beast. I had to say that because there are people marrying animals. Verse 5, and said, for this cause shall a man leave father and mother, and shall cleave to his wife, shall cling to his wife. They twain shall be one flesh. They twain shall be one flesh. 1 Corinthians 6:16. Ephesians 5:31. All right, verse 6. Wherefore they are no more twain, but one flesh. What therefore Yah have joined together, let no man put asunder. You see that? Let no man put asunder. And then the Pharisees said unto Yeshua, why did Moses then command or instruct the Israelite men to give a writing of divorcement and to put her away? That's referring to Deuteronomy 24, verse 1 through 4. Okay? Why? Why did he command to give a writing of divorcement and to put her away? We're going to look at all this. There's a reason that Moses was allowed to write a ordinance allowing a man to put his wife away for every cause or any cause. Same thing. Verse 8, and he said unto them, Moses, so Yeshua said unto them, or replied unto them, Moses was allowed to write you that divorce ordinance, putting away your wife for every cause, because of the hardness of your hearts or your spirit, because of the hardness of your hearts. Moses was allowed you to put away your wives, but from the beginning it was not so. Genesis chapter 2, verse 24. From the beginning it was not so. Okay, now, sisters, I'm going to say something to you right now. If you married a man and he put you away for any reason other than what Yeshua says is a reason, okay, to put you away, he put you away unlawfully, okay? You were put away unlawfully. Now, verse 9, Yeshua said, and I say unto you, this is our Messiah, this is the Son of Yah, our Redeemer, our High Priest. And Yeshua said, I say unto you, whosoever shall put away his wife, except it be for fornication, and shall marry another, committeth adultery. Okay? And whosoever marrieth her who is put away doth commit adultery. All right, you see that? Now, let's examine this closely. Can we examine this closely? Okay, because as I said before, when people have been indoctrinated in Christianity or campology or in Islamic, whatever you want to call it, doctrines, they have a tendency to read information into, or their own thoughts into what Yeshua said or what is said anywhere in Scripture. That's what they do. Now, let's examine what Yeshua is saying and what he is not saying. Can we do that? Let's examine what he is saying and he is not saying. All right? Yeshua said unto you, whosoever shall put away his wife, except it be for fornication, and shall marry another, committeth adultery. Okay? So any man out there that you put away your wife and you put her away for any reason other than fornication, okay, for any other reason other than fornication, what is called adultery, okay, really this is really adultery, okay, if you did that, you committed the adultery. you committed the adultery, and you also caused her to commit adultery, because when she goes out there and marries another man, in the eye, because she was put away unlawfully, now what has happened is you caused her to commit adultery, and you caused the man that married her to commit adultery. Okay? All by you putting her away unlawfully because of the hardness of your heart. All right? Let me say this. There is only one reason, there's only one reason that a man can put away his wife. There's only one reason. One reason. Okay? One reason. And we're going to go into scripture and look at this. And whosoever marrieth her. So whatever man marries her that was put away unlawfully, does he commits adultery too? Okay, he commits adultery too. Why? Because scripturally she still belongs to the other man. Scripturally, she belongs to the other man. Okay, the first husband. And then his disciples saying to him, if the case of the man be so with his wife, is it not good to marry? The reason that his disciples said that is that if you can only put away your wife for reasons that have to do with her committing fornication, okay, or uncleanness in terms of adultery. And to be specific, adultery is what it really should be stated here, okay? And that is backed up by Deuteronomy. So what the disciples are saying, wow, well, then maybe it's not good for a man to ever take a wife, because if he takes a wife and then she starts doing things that other than adultery, if she does something other than adultery, like burning your toast every morning, or gaining 50 pounds, or spending all your money on clothes where you can't pay the rent or the mortgage, maybe it's good for a man not to marry at all. Okay? If the only reason that he can put her away is as if she commits adultery. So that's why the disciples asked him what they asked him in verse 10. That's exactly why they asked him. His disciples said to him, if the case of the man be so with his wife, it is not good to marry. Okay, verse 11. But Yeshua said unto them, all men cannot receive this saying except they to whom it is given. Okay, so here's what Yeshua is saying. If you are a man and you know you do not have the gift of celibacy, okay, then you should take a wife. And if that wife, it turns out to not be the best wife in the world, but she is remaining faithful to you and in the marriage bed, then you have no reason to put her away. Okay, if she gains 50 pounds, that's not a reason to put her away. If she doesn't want to communicate with you, okay, or be transparent with you, that is not a reason to put her away. Okay, if she talks about you to her girlfriends, that's not a reason to put her away. She spends your money, all your money up, and you can't pay the mortgage. You know what? Find a way to make sure your money doesn't get into her hand, and you take care of getting the groceries and the mortgage and all those necessary things that that you're required to do. That's what you do. But you cannot put her away. Is that loud and clear? That should be loud and clear. That is the charge. That is how high the charge that Yah has put on his sons that say they know him, that they walk with him. You cannot put her away except for one reason. Okay? It doesn't matter what this Edomite society, heathen society, has told you or did you want to think. You cannot put her away except for one reason. And if you do, you now are guilty of adultery. And you cause her to commit adultery because more than likely she's going to go out there and marry another man. All right? After she is put away from you. And then the man that marries her commits adultery. Okay? He's committing adultery because she was put away unlawfully. All right? So, this is just as pure. What you're hearing now, don't get no pure. Okay? Now, I know a lot of people don't want to hear the pure, unadulterated truth as it was written, but that's what you're getting. Now, what you want to do with it, that's between you and Yah. Okay? Because remember, you are the one to call yourself a follower of the instructions, okay, of the teachings of our Messiah. You claim he's your Redeemer and your King, all right? Now, let me go back to something here that we're dealing with right here. What if a man puts her away and doesn't take another woman? Is it still adultery? Yes, it's still adultery. Okay? It's still adultery. Because she is going to go out and eventually join herself to another man. But you had no scriptural grounds to put her away in the first place. And then the man, so there's adultery all the way around. So now, here's another thing. Let's be perfectly honest with what we're reading, okay? What if the man keeps her, continues to be a husband unto her, do the duties of a husband, but what if he keeps her and then he joins himself to another woman? Okay? Has he committed adultery? No. No, he has not. No, he has not. What he has done, he has made his life a little bit more difficult because now he has two women. Okay? He has two women. Look at what Yeshua said. I say unto you, whosoever shall put away his wife, except it be for fornication, and shall marry another. All right. The sin is in what? The sin is in what? The sin is putting her away in the first place, unlawfully. That is where the sin is. The sin is not in him taking another wife. The sin is putting her away unlawfully, okay? Without any scriptural ground. Now, I don't care whether you like it or not. It makes no difference to me. You read this, okay? Many read this and they just read something into it that Yeshua did not say. Whosoever shall put away his wife and marry another committeth adultery. The adultery is based on putting her away without her committing adultery. And we'll see this in scripture. That is the sin. All right. The sin that the ancient Israelite men were committing and what men commit today. They see some new model out here that they want. They see some woman that they want. and they've been with the one they have for 10, 15, 20, 30 years or whatever. And now they see some woman they want. And they put that one away so that they can marry the newer model. Okay, the newer model. That's what they do. Okay, and that's unlawful. And that's what our ancestors were doing in the day. And that's why Moses was allowed by Yah to protect women, to protect women. Moses was allowed to write this in Deuteronomy 24. We're going to go there in a minute. He was allowed to write this ordinance allowing the Israelite men to put away their wife for any cause. For any cause. It didn't make any difference. For any cause. Okay? For burning the beef roast. Okay? Or for baking bread that was hard as a brick. All right? Those kind of things. For gaining 50 pounds. Or because this starts sagging or that starts sagging on her. That's what they were doing. And some, I will tell you, were some of our ancestors were even hurting them, were even doing injurious, physically injurious things to their wives to get them to run off, to get them to go away. So Moses, because of their hardness of our Hebrew ancestors' heart, Moses was allowed to make it easy for them to put their wife away for any cause. And that's why it says in what we're reading, where it talks about shall he put away in verse 3. The Pharisees also came unto him, tempting him, saying unto him, is it lawful for a man to put away his wife for every cause? And the answer is no. It is not lawful for a man, once he has lain with a woman, to put her away for any cause. No. The answer is no. A man cannot put his wife away. And if he is thinking about it, and if he has done it, that means that his heart was hard and he doesn't even know. He doesn't even have the spirit of Christ. Okay? Now, I don't care whether you like it or not. That's what it is. It makes no difference. Okay? And the men, because the men in that day, the men knew, unlike today, a lot of Israelite men, they don't know, or Hebrew men, they don't know they can have more than one wife, scripturally speaking. But in that day, they knew it. But they know they could have more than one wife. But so what was the deal? Why did they want to put the first one away? Because they didn't want to have an additional mouth to feed. Okay? They didn't want to have an additional mouth to feed. Okay? Because as you know, the scripture says when a man takes a second wife, that he cannot diminish her food, her clothing, and he has to provide things for her under the Deuteronomy, under the first covenant. Okay? Now women have their own stuff. Now women have their own stuff. And basically a man is only contributing. He contributes and she contributes to the rent, the mortgage, the food bill, and utilities and so forth. But back then, it was all on the man. Yes, women had, there was a division of labor that they had to do. Women did the cooking or whatever, the cleaning, okay, and sewing of clothes. But primarily the man, for the most part, was responsible for making sure there was enough food, enough meat and grains and clothing for each and every wife he had. But they did not want to have that additional responsibility of taking on of feeding two or three. So they would they would be very cruel, as Malachi 2:14. They would deal treacherously with their wife. Okay, and y'all did not, think that it was funny. Okay, he didn't think it was humorous that the Hebrew Israelite men did that in that day, and it's still not. It is still not. All right. So let's see where I want to go now. Let's go to Deuteronomy 22, since I've already mentioned. Let's go to Deuteronomy 22, since I've already mentioned the law that is in question, because the Pharisees were asking Yeshua about the Deuteronomy 24 law that allowed them to do that. And I'm going to show you something here. I'm going to show you that they were, okay, they did, and they were allowed to. But Father instituted this divorce decree or ordinance to protect his daughters from being harmed, because those men were so wicked. They would treat their wife treacherously to get her to run away. And many men do that today. Many men do that today. They treat their wife treacherously to get her to leave, knowing in their heart that they got their mind set on another model, another woman. And so in the society, of course, it teaches you can only have one. So, and even if our society right now, even if Esau passed a law saying a man can have more than one, a man still would not want more than one. You know why? Because he would not want to be responsible for taking care of more than one. All right. And also, to be quite honest with you, when a man has more than one wife, it is very, very difficult to, it's difficult. You've made your life more difficult to have peace of mind, because the flesh being what it is, the works of the flesh mentioned in Galatians chapter 19, Galatians 5, 19, 20, and 21. The women are always going to find something to be envious, hateful, jealous, okay, of the other, okay? They're always going to find something wrong with the other one, okay? They're always going to look at what happened to Jacob. Now, we know that Jacob, that was ordained of Yah for him to have 4 wives. How do we know? Because from those 4 wives came what? The 12 tribes of Israel. So we know it was ordained. But did our brother Jacob still have a lot to endure? Yes, he did. Did he have to, he found a lot of times that he had to bring peace between his wives? Of course he did. So just because something is ordained of Yah, don't automatically assume that it's always going to be like a walk in the park, okay? Something can be ordained of Yah, and it doesn't mean that it's not going to be without some difficulty, okay, or some trials. And here's another thing I'm going to say on this too. You're going to have one wife that plucks your nerves. You can have one that plucks your nerves, okay? But you still cannot put her away. You cannot put her away for any cause. There's only one cause that you can put her away, and I read that to you earlier. All right, now I'm reading this. Deuteronomy chapter 24. When a man have taken a wife and married her, has joined himself to her. You know how a man joins himself to a woman. Okay, if you don't, you need to go get a book on the birds and the bees or something. Okay, when a man have taken a wife, married her, okay, because that word A and D, uh, if he's taken her, he has joined himself to her. So that A and D needs to come out. When a man has taken a wife, married her, and it come to pass that she find no favor in his eyes. So that means when this man have married a woman, and after a process of time, well, every time she looks at him, he's looking at her, he's gritting on her, as they would say. He's gritting on her. You know, he despises her, and she can see it in his eyes. That's what this means. Because he had found some uncleanness in her. Now, it says, because he has found some uncleanness in her. It didn't mean that she had any, it doesn't mean she committed adultery. It means that he, having a hard heart, has no love, no compassion, doesn't have, what it takes to really dwell with a wife. And he's so critical. He's so critical of everything she does. He can't even look at her in a pleasant way. And when she looks at him, all she sees is a man that looks like he's upset that he married her. Okay? Well, this is what Moses was allowed to do for the heart, because this man just can't seem to find anything about his wife that pleases him. It don't mean that he's right. It means he just has a damn critical spirit. Because I'm gonna read the whole thing again. When a man has taken a wife, married her, and it come to pass that she find no favor in his eyes, because he have found some uncleanness. That uncleanness could be she burnt the toast, okay, or she or the biscuits, or the flatbread, whatever they ate in that day, or she can't cook. She's 50 pounds overweight. She weighs 50 pounds more than when she did when he first married her. Okay? Or he's going through a trial and she's not supportive of what the trial he's going through. Like when Job, Job, he was going through a trial of his life, and his wife said to him, why don't you just curse Yah and then die? Okay? Now, Job was a righteous man. Just because you're a righteous man don't mean you're going to get a wife that knows how to be like a Sarah type, knows how to be like Sarah. It don't mean you are. You may not get one like that. But if you don't, you cannot put her away. And so, because he had found some uncleanness in her, so it could be something minute. Then let him write her a bill of divorcement, give it in her hand, and send her out of his house. See? Now he got to see that? And this is what was happening. There are men that will do that. Just send her out of the house to fend for herself. And when she is departed out of his house, she may go and be another man's wife. Okay? And if the latter husband hate her also, and write her a bill of divorcement, and give it in her hand, and send her out of his house, or if the latter husband die, which took her to be his wife, her former husband, which sent her away, may not take her again to be his wife. Do you see that? The law says that once a man and woman are divorced, okay, they cannot, if she has gone to another man and then that man die or something happens in that marriage, She cannot go back to the first husband and put her away. Now, you see it right there. All right. These are not my words. I'm merely reading the word and I'm giving the breakdown of what it means. And you all listening right now know I'm not adding to nothing. All right. Her former husband, which sent her away, may not take her again to be his wife, because after that she is defiled. For that is an abomination before Yah, and you shall not cause the land to sin, which Yah your Elohim giveth you for an inheritance. Okay? It brings some type of contamination upon the very land of Israel that our ancestors had. Okay? It brings some type of something that is not conducive to having a holy environment or a holy land. It puts something in the environment that is not right. You know, just like whoredom, adultery, fornications, you know, sodomy. All of these things do something to the environment. Okay. That's why Yah had to destroy the land of Sodom and Gomorrah, because it was just all types of vile acts. And Father, and nothing even to this day grows over there. Go check out YouTube. Nothing to this day. It's still just a pile of ashes. Yah's angels breathe down fire on that place, and fire and brimstone so well that the sulfur content is so high, it came from heaven. You don't even find sulfur like that on the earth. It's very, very pure. That because it came down from heaven. Go read. Very interesting. All right. How well the angels destroyed that land because of what was taking place in that land. All right. Well, same thing with adultery. Okay. It puts something in the environment, in the land, that is not good. All right. Now, all right, so we dealt with that. So that's what the Pharisees were asking Yeshua about. They were asking him about that because they were allowed to do that. They were allowed to do that. But if you are a follower, a true follower of Yeshua, okay, under this new covenant, okay, you cannot put your wife away for any cause. Okay, you cannot do that. You cannot put her away for any cause. Now, let's look at what constitutes. Let's look what actually constitutes adultery. Okay, because there are certain ways that a man commits adultery, and it is not what so-called Christianity thinks. It's not what Christianity thinks. All right. A way a man commits adultery is not what Christianity has taught us in America. Christianity, okay, so-called Christianity teaches many things contrary what is written in the book. But now it's time for us to really come back to Father, come back and follow Father in spirit and truth. It always was, but now we're living in a time that the Ruach HaKodesh is opening, is revealing the truth on how to walk with Yah in spirit and truth. Okay, because we've been blinded here in America and the places we've been scattered. We've been blinded to what our Yah really requires. All right. Now, I'm in Leviticus 20. I'm going to read to you. I've already shown you how a Israelite man commits adultery by putting his wife away without a cause, without a scriptural or legitimate cause. Okay, so he commits adultery, and then he causes her to commit adultery because she'll go out and eventually marry another man. All right. So in verse 10 of Leviticus 20, chapter 20, it says, "The man that committeth adultery with another man's wife, even he that committeth adultery with his neighbor's wife, the adulterer and the adulteress shall surely be put to death." All right? That is the definition of adultery. The man that commits adultery with another man's wife, even he that committeth adultery with his neighbor's wife, the adulterer and the adulteress shall surely be put to death. Okay? Let's go to Leviticus. Let's see what Leviticus 18:20 says. All right, Leviticus 18:20, by the mouth of two or three witnesses, every matter shall be established. Leviticus 18:20 says, "Moreover, you shall not lie carnally with your neighbor's wife, to defile yourself with her." See that? You shall not lie carnally with your neighbor's wife. Now, I don't read anything else into that, do you? See, but yes, some of you do. Some of you want to read more into what that just said. Or if you want to. But Yah said, "You shall not add and you shall not diminish to the meaning or the intent of something that he wrote." You shall not do that. You shall not change the intent of what he meant when he wrote something to us. Now, I'm going to show you how a woman does. All right, let's go to Deuteronomy 22. Let's go to Deuteronomy. I'm going to show you. All right, so what about a man then? What about a man that lays with a maiden or with a woman, okay, who is not married? What has he done? What has a man done who lays with a single woman? What? Because there's a lot of that going on out there, isn't it? There's a lot of everything going on in Israel. Okay, Deuteronomy 22. Deuteronomy 22, chapter 24. And by the way, the marriage laws have not changed, by the way. Okay, Deuteronomy 22, verse 24. Let's see. All right, 24. Let's see, 22. All right, so here, let's see here. Let's see. Let me go to. Let's see here. I'm looking for it. Okay, I'm in verse 29. This is what I'm looking for. But read the whole chapter of Deuteronomy 22. But the one I'm looking for is what happens when a man. What happens when a man lays with a damsel? Okay, lays with a single woman. What has he done? What does Yah require him to do? Okay, I'm going to start at verse 28. If a man find a damsel that is a virgin, which is not betrothed, she's not engaged to another man, and lay hold on her and lie with her, and they be found, okay? Then the man that lay with her shall give unto the damsel's father 50 shekels of silver. And she shall be his wife, because he hath humbled her. He may not put her away all the days of his life. Okay? Now, so he so 40, it ain't no such thing as no booty calls. It ain't no such thing as no casual sex in the Most High's economy. Okay? In his mind, there is no such thing as a man going out here and laying with a woman and claiming he haven't done nothing because he's guilty. Okay? He's guilty. And the language here, this is not talking about rape either. This is not talking about rape. Okay? This is not talking about rape. Now, just because the language that translated it into English, or what we call Elizabethan English, just because it doesn't always do the Hebrew justice, does not mean that this is talking about rape. This is not talking about rape. Okay? It is talking about a man. Didn't say that he was single. It didn't say whether he was already joined to another, that he was already married to another woman. It didn't say none of that. It just said, if a man find a damsel that is a virgin, which is not betrothed, and lay hold on her and lie with her, then and they be found, then the man that lay with her shall give unto the damsel's father 50 shekels of silver, and she shall be his wife, because he has humbled her. That means maybe he had a good way, maybe he had what they call some good rap. You know what I mean? Maybe he's said a lot of sweet nothings in her ear. You know how there's some men out there, they're really good at telling a woman certain things that gets them all to fall in love with them. And let's say they call them one night stands. Okay. And let's say the woman is taken with this man. And so then she lays with him. She's so taken by what she hears, she lays with this man. They're somewhere and he lays with her. Okay. And she allows him to lay with her. Okay. Well, what does Yah's word law require that man to do? It requires him to make her his wife for life. It ain't got nothing to do, if he have another wife, ain't got nothing to do with it. And y'all know good and well. You know good and well that David and Gideon and Elkanah, just to name a few men, you know they had wives. It didn't say they were girlfriends, did not say they were hoes. Okay, so stop it. The word calls them wives. So stop it. Get out of my face, ignoramus. And I'll say it to your face. Get out of my, you want to sit up there and run your Christian nonsense now. The word does not call those women their girlfriends, their hoes, their side chicks. They are that man's wife. Now, keep lying on the Ruach HaKodesh. Keep lying on the Ruach HaKodesh. Keep lying on the Ruach HaKodesh just because you want to float your notion. You want to float your delusion. Because you want it to be, you want the word to be what you want it to be. But you don't want Yah's word to be your truth. And you're going to get hurt. And Abba Yah's going to hurt everyone that is a liar. Okay? He's going to hurt you. Now, keep playing with Abba Yah's Ruach HaKodesh, and he will hurt you. Keep on lying on Ruach, and he will hurt you. He will hurt you. And you deserve to be hurt for lying on Yah's other divine offspring, Ruach HaKodesh. You deserve to get hurt up bad. Yeah. Yes, you do. You deserve to get hurt up bad. Okay? So now, I'm going to go to Let's see where I want to go through now. All right, let's go to John 4:18. Let's go to John 4:18, because a lot of you don't think that when a man lays with a woman, he has already he has made that woman his wife, and she shall be his wife for the rest of his life. Okay, let's go to, okay, but if a woman ignorantly lays with a man that has no intention, or doesn't, he's a son of Belial, and he has no intention of keeping her. And there's a lot of Hebrew women that have laid with men, and those men had no intentions of marrying them. And you know it. A lot of you women out there have laid with men before you got married. I know a case where a woman was a virgin. I heard a situation years ago about, it was in the South, and it was a man, and they were young. They were like, I don't know, he was like 18 and she was like 14, and they were what they call courting. Okay, and the mother and father told the young man, look, you are not going to get none of that. In other words, you are not going to take our daughter to bed. The only way you will have carnal knowledge with our daughter is that you marry her. So do you know what this devil did? This devil married her. Okay, married her, laid with her all night, having his way with her. Okay, and then he got on a train and went north, and came north and left her. And when you asked him why did he do that, he said he did it because the mother and father told him, they always told him, you're not getting nothing from our daughter. You're not getting none of our daughters. You know what I'm saying? You're not laying with our daughter unless you marry her. So he said, all right. Now this is how, see, he said, all right, I'll marry her. Okay. And he married her, laid with her all night. All right. And then he left, and got on the train and went north. And he heard through the grapevine, his friends that were back there said, don't ever come back to North Carolina as long as her father is alive, because he is determined to kill you for what you did. He is determined to kill you. So there are many Hebrew women that have laid with a man who had no intention of being a husband to them for life. But this should not be the case of those men that call themselves Yah men, followers of Yah. That should not happen. That should not happen. Okay? Now, we're going to read about a woman here in John 4:18 that this happened to. Okay? We're getting ready to read a situation, an account, okay, from our elder brother Yeshua, where a woman, where this happened to a woman. Okay? All right. I'm going to start at verse 15. I'm in John chapter 4. I'm going to start at, I'll start at verse 14. But whosoever drinketh of the water that I shall give him or her shall never thirst. But the water that I shall give him or her shall be in him or her a well of water springing up into everlasting life. This is what Yeshua said to this woman at the well who was drawing H2O, water from the well. The woman saith unto him, Sir, speaking to Yeshua, Sir, give me this water that I may thirst, that I thirst not, neither have to return here to draw water again out of this well. Yeshua said unto her, Go call your husband and come here again. Go call your husband and come here again. Bring your husband with you. All right. And the woman replied and said, I have no husband. Yeshua said unto her, You have well said, you have well spoken, I have no husband. For you have had 5 husbands, and he whom you now have, he whom you are now entertaining, is not your husband. In that you have said truly. Then the woman said unto Yeshua, Sir, I perceive that you are a prophet. Yeah, you would have to be a prophet to know that. The Ruach HaKodesh would certainly have to give you a word of wisdom. And yes, our elder brother, he had all of the gifts of the Spirit. All 7 gifts of the Spirit operated in him, through him. That's right. Okay? All 7 of the gifts were strong in Yeshua. And he just told this woman, you have had 5 husbands, and the one that you are entertaining now is not going to be no husband to you. Okay? Because he is not going to hang around, and he is not going to provide covering for you. All right? And that's what all a husband does, provides covering, make sure that his wife is washed with the water of the word. He's not going to do none of that. Okay? He's not going to do any of that. Okay? So now I have shared with you what the Ruach wanted me to bring out. This is clarifying divorce, clarifying what fornication is, clarifying all the things that I touched on or that I referred to in this lesson. Go back and play it more than one time, or several times, and look these scriptures up if you haven't already, and you will see for yourself that this is nothing but the pure, unadulterated truth, and it is our Yah's position, and can't nobody change it. Okay? There's a lot that wanted his word to be their truth, but Father's truth is what it is, his truth, his way. All right? Now look, remnant, Israelite family, all praises to the Most High Yah, our Father, Yeshua, HaMashiach, our elder brother, our King, our Redeemer, our High Priest. All thanks to the Ruach HaKodesh. All praise, honor, and glory to the royal Elohim family. Shalom.